Look, if you want it cooked a different way, you're going to have to say so before I start. Because once I get in the zone, I am not changing it. Well, no, I'm not exactly a gourmet chef. I mean, even when I have the tools. To be honest, that was your thing. Yep, you were pretty good. Pretty good. Of course, you know, with that comes a couple things. How do I put this? You had a specific way that you wanted to cook things, and when one of us didn't like it, you had a mantra. Cook it yourself, then. Yeah. Of course, none of us disliked anything you made. Sometimes I think about a couple of the dishes that you made, and I think to myself, damn, we had it so easy back then. Yeah. But it always felt like the best food that you made always came after something that we wish didn't happen. But that's just how things go, isn't it? That's just always how it goes. No, feel free if you want more. Take more. I mean, think about it. You haven't had any food in like a year, so you might as well eat up. Besides, I had something before I came here, and I know that we've been here for a few days now, but, you know. How are you doing with everything? With all the things I'm telling you, are you recalling the things that I'm saying? You are? Good. See, that's why I'm going slow with this. If I tell you everything at once, you won't remember it. If I just tell you everything that happens and you believe me, are you going to have any sort of like direction in your life? Any emotional attachment to anything? Probably not. You won't be happy. If I tell you that I don't know, some doll that you had at your home was your favorite doll, if I just tell you that, are you gonna love that doll again? Or if I tell you the history of that doll, slowly over several days, and it jogs your memory of what you feel and why you feel that way, you're much more likely to love it, aren't you? Yeah. Well, that's just kind of my strategy with this. I don't want you to just know everything that happened. I want you to remember it. So, I will go as slow as I need to. Yeah, I'm not shocked. Well, while I'm cooking this, because we have a lot of these to cook, I might as well tell you a little bit about what happened after old Piper showed her true colors. So, where were we? Oh yeah, I remember now. You'd never seen swans so ungathered. They tapped their fingers on their crossed arms, mentally tapping their feet when they were standing in place in between their chronic pacing. Deep sigh after deep sigh from them left you feeling uncomfortable. It was a slow, steady walk back to the village, just in time for a town hall meeting. It was 1 p.m, and they had been going since about 10 a.m. Swan approached the mayor no less than 5 times and told him that it was an urgent matter that needed to be discussed in private to avoid panic. And every single time they approached, they were cut off and immediately told whatever it was had to wait. Such was the town's policy. The guards escorted them out each time. You and Swan impatiently await for the meeting to conclude.
No, Mouse. As much as I completely agree with you, going in stammering that they are in danger could rob us of our payment. And unfortunately, if we report back to the guild without it, we will be reprimanded. If they nix the contract due to civilian unrest, that could jeopardize our standing in the guild. We have no choice but to be patient. Look, I understand that frustrates you, but we can't just think about this village. We must think about everywhere else. If we fail here, then we did all we could. But if we overdo it and lose the contract, not only do we lose this town, but we lose the ability to help anyone else afterwards. Believe me, I hate it just as much as you do. I'm worried too. Raven is... He's a good young man. I know him. He's difficult to get along with at times, but he has a good heart. But if I chase after him, it could result in Piper potentially slipping by us both. Then genocide would be all but assured. And as much as I think highly of your magic prowess, I can't say I'm too keen on throwing you to the wolves, as it were, to see if you could hang with a high-level monster. No, absolutely not. I forbid you to go after him. Raven, while stubborn, is capable when motivated, and I've never seen him this determined to nail his prey. He knows what happens when his emotions get the better of him, and I suspect he will be all business when it comes to taking her down. I know. I don't like it either, but... Yes, of course I want to save lives. That's why if we get in trouble, we won't be allowed to do it anymore. We have to be smart about this. I want to say something, I do. But if we interfere with the town business and we lose our hunting license, we can't help anyone ever again.
You looked at the mayor in the distance. They were outdoors, rain still trickling down, coating their hair in water and repainting the dirt with mud. You knew if Swan and Raven interfered, they would be reprimanded. There was nothing they could do. But then, an idea popped in your head. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't help. They couldn't interfere with the crowd and cause a panic, even if it was to help. But you, on the other hand.
What is it? An idea?
Before you replied, you ran off immediately. You sprinted down the hill, hearing Swan calling out behind you. As you came closer, the mayor's speech became louder and louder.
On to the next topic. Our lovely general store owner, Mr. Hart, has expressed some concerns that travellers who are not local to East Lodge come into his store and, while most being friendly, try to, and in some cases succeed, in taking items from the shelves. He has noticed that supplies go missing only when travellers from outside the village enter his store. So, we would like to strongly express to everyone to keep an eye out for such individuals, and to do any and all shopping at the same time as these people, so that if you see them doing something they shouldn't, you can stop them. Furthermore, what's this?
You made your way through the crowd, your hood blocking the brunt of the rain. You gently pushed the civilians to the side as you squeezed through the crowd. You made your way to the front and called out to the mayor.
I told your partner that I implore you to talk to me later. I cannot possibly leave a meeting such as this. We do it every month, on the same day, at the same time. It is town tradition. It has kept East Lodge in order. So please, if you would kindly...
Mayor Kimberly, I have made my decision. The moment I saw my friend running down to speak with you, I knew I had been a fool. I cannot keep up this charade of content any further. This town...
Hunter, remember, you promised discretion.
This town is in severe danger. A vampire is loose and could be headed this way. In order to assure safety, we must evacuate until someone comes and fetches everyone, only after the danger has been neutralized.
The crowd around you began murmuring with confusion and concern. The mayor laughed nervously, attempting to gather himself.
People, calm yourselves. All is well. These hunters are only thorough. They do this for every monster.
You heard people shouting at him, asking why they weren't told earlier. Why would he let them be in potential danger? The mayor shook his head and sighed.
People, I apologize. I wanted you all to be safe, but I wanted you to be happy as well. I felt confident in these hunters that they would finish the job quickly. A confidence that is long gone. I will be speaking to your guildmasters.
You will forgive me that I value your people's safety, just as you do.
I suppose there's honor in that. Very well. I'll still be sure your guild reprimands you, but I still appreciate the sentiment. People of East Lodge, we must hold our town hall meeting. We will finish it in a safer location.
That won't be necessary. You knew that voice. Your heart jumped, knowing Raven was alive. From the sounds of things, hurt, tired as well. You looked to the side and pulled through the crowd until he walked into view. He was limping softly and breathing heavily. His clothes were ripped and torn, and there was blood on him. He was holding two things. The first in his right hand. It was a long, thick case that he held by its handle, which shut tightly. It was the same case you saw him leave with several ways. His hunting hand. In his left hand, Piper. He gripped onto Piper's collar, dragging her through the mud, her body tied up tight with chains of rope. She didn't struggle. She was alive.
My God. Raven.
Is that?
Raven heaved Piper in front of him and she crashed into the ground, grunting from her pain. She looked to be in better condition than him. He limped forward, exhausted. He walked by Swan, dropping the hunting hand right in front of him.
Raven, you really did it. I don't know what to say.
Not a helpless rookie, am I? He looked at you, patting your arm briefly, walking back to Piper. Good job playing defense, right? You're a natty. He stopped in front of Piper and spread his arms out. Okay. People of East Lodge. I know you've heard whispers from your neighbors about a monster that invaded your home and started taking your loved ones. But those whispers were right. Fact of life. Some beings in the world are fucking monsters. I'm sorry for everyone's loss. And nothing could bring those people back. And it sucks. Believe me, I know. But hey! It's not all bad news. I found the fucking thing that did it. Ladies, gentlemen, I give you your church-dwelling bloodsucker. He knelt down, grabbing onto her hair and pulled her up. It was then you noticed she had her flat cap back. It was assuredly the same one you saw. You remember, Raven took it when he went to go find her. Perhaps he used some local bloodhounds to track her scent down. Either way, she had it back and he had her. Piper's face was strained with pain and frustration. Time to wake up. Court is in session.
I already told you what fucking happened.
Tell the jury, not the executioner. He grabbed her and pulled her up, and she was on her knees in the rain, her hands chained behind her back, rope holding her arms at her sides. You looked in fear and pain as you watched her gaze drift to you. They were the eyes of a young woman, the same eyes you knew. They held no malice, no anger. You didn't know what to feel. Come on, speak, mongrel.
It was an accident.
Come on! The whole thing!
Would you stop it? Would you give me a goddamn break? I don't remember it, okay? Do you know what it's like to wake up after starving yourself to sleep and there's blood all over your hands and mouth and you don't know whose it is. You could never understand that feeling. I have suffered every day because of that. When I haven't drank in a while, I lose control. I pass out and my body goes into survival mode while I'm asleep. I can't help it!
Oh, Piper.
Don't feel a shred of remorse for this beast. Everything she says is nothing but self-pity, not a fucking ounce of responsibility.
How can I take responsibility if I can't stop myself? I can't do anything about it. If I could, don't you think I would have? Anna was my best friend. Knowing I killed her, how can I live that down?
Good thing you don't have to. Raven drew the pistol in his holster, which had been moved to the back of his belt. You then noticed the strap on his leg was severed. The fight they had must have been hellacious. I knew you'd do this. I knew all along. It took 10 years, 10 long, grueling years. 10 years of pain, anger, and not much else on my mind but vengeance. And then you come along time after time, being all buddy-buddy with me, and admittedly, get me thinking that maybe I was crazy. That maybe, just maybe, you were different. And gaslighting myself into believing it. And every time I met you, you showed me nothing but a friendly smile. But I stayed vigilant. Until this time. I really believed you. I really did. Or else I was really beginning to. But you proved to me that deep down you were a carnivorous freak all along and nothing more. And now I have my vindication.
Well, la-dee fucking da. Good for you. You got me. Would you condemn a man as a murderer if he tripped over a broom and pushed him into the street and saw them get run over by a horse? Would you condemn a man as a murderer if the gun he purchased was faulty and it went off during cleaning it, ending up killing his wife? You'd think them poor fucking sods, wouldn't you? You'd say to yourselves, what a poor bastard, probably feels terrible, probably wishes he was dead. Well, how do you think I feel, knowing that that happens every fucking time I wake up? Huh? Huh? Do you have any idea what it feels like knowing that I'm a monster? That the only way to stop it from happening is to die? I know what awaits me at the end of the road, bird brain. Fire and goddamn brimstone. I will drown in a sea of flames for eternity at the end of my road. I'm sending people to heaven, eternal paradise with no pain, and they will forever know shit else but joy. Hardly a comparison. And yet, you still villainize me. You still don't understand that it is within my nature to feed.
You seem to have some misguided idea that I think you're a bad person. I don't. I just don't think you're a person at all. And that's why you gotta go. Look around you, you animal. You're a wolf surrounded by lambs, and you expect them not to fear. For them not to fear, the wolf must be removed. And unfortunately for you, there is no corner of this world with no lambs. He turned the safety off and pointed the gun at Piper. The look in her eyes was no longer remorseful. It was cold, angry, monstrous. I waited a long time for the opportunity to kill you, and now, right after the moment I trust you, you give me another reason to. Another reason that I can just never forgive you.
Sorry I let you down, buddy. I'll try harder next time.
You think this is a joke?
It's obvious you aren't taking my thoughts very seriously, so why should I respect yours? You aren't going to listen to reason. You never have! All these years I've spent around you and you haven't grown a fucking millimeter. I should have given up on you years ago.
That's the worst part about you. You know that we aren't friends. But maybe, at some point, we could have been. And you feel nothing for that. So thank you for finally giving me my answer.
It's a pity you didn't have any other family for me to munch on. I would have liked to give you a bit more character development, you boring bastard.
Boring? I bore you? You took everything from me! You want me to be happy? You want me to be fun and exciting? Well, that can be obliged. The moment I remove your stain from this world, then I can smile.
Monologuing is getting old fast. Would you just fucking shoot me already? I'd rather burn forever than listen to another minute of your angsty ranting. Your family is dead. Who gives a fuck? Take a number and get in line. You think you're the only orphan in the world?
Hope you find a demon kind enough to pull this bullet out of your disgusting skull. You awaited the howl of gunfire. Everyone watched in anticipation. Never in your life were you so on edge. The rain was the only thing you heard. You glanced at Swan, their face full of trepidation. But the howl, it never came. You watched as Raven lowered his gun, and for the first time, a smile across his face. His eyes were sad, but he still smiled. I imagine this. I imagine this moment so many times in my head. So many times, so many sleepless nights, so many nightmare-filled dreams where I finally passed out. And now that I'm here, gun in hand, rehearsed so many times what I'd say and how much, so much euphoria I would feel. Gun in hand. You at my mercy, ready to meet the ferryman. I don't need this.
Huh?
I don't need to kill you. I just don't need to pull the trigger. All I ever needed was to know that I was right. To know that you were just as bad as I believed you to be. And I was right. I don't need to be proven anything anymore. I did it. 10 years. I needed to know I was doing the right thing so badly. And now I have my closure. I don't need to do this.
What? You can't be serious. That monster killed my people. They need to be put down, like a wild dog.
I know. You're absolutely right. But I don't need to be the one to do it.
What do you mean? Isn't this your mark?
Was. Now it can be someone else's. Raven walked over to Swan, holding the gun out. You believed in me. From day one. You trained me for years so I could have this moment. I wouldn't be here without you. You deserve to finish this.
Raven, I trained you so that we could help people. I didn't train you for this, but even still, I can't take your gun. I find the use of firearms to be distasteful. You know that. They're effective, and that's why I don't mind you using them with me. I can't.
Fine, whatever that means. What about you, rat? Ever fired a gun? No? Well, now's as good a time as any. Besides, Piper marked you. And putting her down will be a statement to everyone else that says, fuck off. What do you say? You're both the worst. Raven slowly turned around, locking eyes with Mayor Kibley, and smiled, approaching him. And what about you, Mr. Mayor? The crowd slowly turned to the mayor, who furrowed his brow, motioning to himself. He walked down to Raven, standing next to him and Piper.
Me? Really?
Why not? Think. This thing killed 2 of your women and a sweet old man that didn't do anything wrong. I know you might not be a perfect man, but you stood by your people since day one. You deserve to make the emphatic statement that you and East Lodge aren't victims. If anyone deserves to drive the beast from this world, well, it's you. The crowd cheered at the mayor and he looked at them, smiling hesitantly. He nodded slightly, turning to Raven.
You really think so, Hunter?
I know so.
Ha. Maybe you're right. Very well. Allow me.
Something you should know about the gun is it's got a big kickback. It's a powerful little firecracker, but I like it that way. It's also made of Reitlinger silver, just like its bullets, so it's expensive. So try not to break it.
A firearm made of silver? It seems like a bad idea, especially for killing vampires.
Normally, you'd be right. That's why I'm using Reitlinger silver. It's a special ore from deep in the northern tundras. It has special properties, especially for killing vampires.
What kind of properties?
Silver is effective against werewolves, but Reitlinger silver is a bit more... how do I say it? Unique. Silver on its own, totally ineffective. Raven opened his gun's chamber and pulled out a bullet. He held it up for all to see and lowered it near Piper's face. He dragged the tip of it across her cheek, and instantly you hear the painful hiss of Piper's skin burning. She cried out in pain, tears forming on her cheek. Blood dropped from the wound. The mayor's face was pale. But Reitlinger silver burns vampires through to their very souls.
Sounds like an expensive firearm. Perhaps it'd be best if I didn't.
What's wrong? Oh, come on. Don't tell me you're actually scared you'll break it. I was just kidding.
Well, I am a bit worried, and I can't afford to replace it if I mishandle it.
Wait. You're afraid of the kickback, aren't you? That your wrist'll snap or something?
I didn't want to admit it out loud, but...
Oh. I know what it is. You don't want to kill. You're second guessing yourself. You don't have it in you to kill.
Damn. You really can see right through me. Alright, I admit it. Despite what this creature has done, I simply can't bring myself to kill her. I love life far too much for that. The crowd clapped empathetically. Raven smiled. The mayor waved shyly.
Yeah, that's really sweet. That's fair. Or, it could be that you're the vampire. Dead silence. Naught else but rainfall in your ears. Raven holstered his gun, crossing his arms. The crowd glanced around cautiously and confused. The mayor's face was gaunt and cold. He slowly turned back toward Raven and his expression froze. Raven's expression was so serious, calculating. Then you noticed Piper's expression. It was the same. There was no confusion in her eyes at all. Almost as though she knew this would happen. As if they both did. I beg your pardon? Well, yeah. Obviously, right? Pretty good cover for the one that did it. Calling in some hunters to get rid of a nearby monster, knowing damn well you're the real culprit. Pretty convenient place to put the blame. It was crafty, but you got too comfortable. You went along with everything we said and agreed to all the proposals we made, never having your own ideas or anything like that, except, of course, to hunt down another person you feel that was a loose end. Plus, you know, there was the whole attitude change when I told you what this gun does to vampires.
How dare you? How dare you insinuate that I would hurt my beloved people? I will contact your guildmaster at once and have you removed. Maybe even executed.
You could do that. Absolutely. Hell, you could do the execution right here and now. Be easy. All you gotta do is give me a reasonable explanation or something to believe that you aren't a vampire. You can have this angry mob maul me to death.
Well, get him now.
But first, prove I'm a liar. Prove me wrong. Prove you're a human being. All you gotta do is touch the gun.
I'll do no such thing. I owe you nothing.
You're absolutely right. But you owe them plenty. Touch the gun. Come on, Mayor. He's lying. Just shut him up and we'll run him through.
I don't need to do that.
Why not? All you gotta do is touch the gun, right? Easy win for you and you're done. Touch the gun!
No! I don't need to prove anything to anyone. Kill him now!
Mayor, touch the gun! Touch it!
No, 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 no!
Touch the fucking gun, you bastard! Raven quickly tossed the bullet in his right hand at him, and that's when it happened. It was like time froze, and the mayor zipped out of the way, appearing 10 feet to the right, his mouth salivating violently, his eyes bloodshot red, and his fangs vicious and ready to bite. He stood in between Raven and Piper, his face full of anger and then shock. The crowd reeled back in terror, confusion, and hatred. Then you saw the realization in his eyes. He knew what he had just done. Mayor Kimberly. What have you done? He trembled in his place. He knew it was over. He revealed himself. Mayor Jeffrey Kimberly was the murderer all along. The sound of rain on the ground, the wood, balcony, the buildings around you were the only things that prevented an eerie silence. Raven stood with his back to the villagers as they peered into the monstrous face of the mayor. His expression was full of shame and surprise. You could tell he never expected he'd be uncovered. His graying hair fell over his eyes, his irises becoming red.
Do you have any idea what you've done?
Crystal clear. A nightmare couldn't be prevented, but it was stopped before it got any worse. I only wish we got here sooner.
You destroyed order! This place was fine before you got here! All you had to do was kill that damn beast in the church! And now, you've ruined everything!
Mouse, this is going to get ugly very quickly. When it does, get ready to evacuate as many people as you can.
I didn't ruin anything. You did. You're the one who's killed your own people. Do you think I feel bad for you that you got your just desserts?
You knew? You planned this, Raven?
Afraid so. Sorry, partner.
You didn't tell me your plan. You just said it yourself. Partner.
And missed the chance to force graduation? I needed you to start letting me do my own thing.
Every time I let you do your own thing, you end up with broken bones.
Broken bones are nothing more than physical lessons learned.
Not if you keep breaking the same ones.
Shut up! I will rip you all to shreds! I built this place with my own hands to create a safe haven, and you've destroyed it! I lived here for years upon years, caring for these people. I was an umbrella from the rain. I gave them warmth. I gave them food. I gave them hope. And now you've thrown the lantern on a secret that was best kept covered. You ruined everything!
And it had absolutely nothing to do with the murders. Ah, well, apologies for interfering then.
How did you know? I spent years in hiding. Not even a whisper. How did you know?
Sorry to say, but I had you figured out a long time ago. I just wanted proof before I actually went for it. The moment you said the monster had been plaguing you for years, when Piper was clearer and that she'd only been here for 6 months. Then there was, being sure that they weren't home despite being afraid to go inside. You knew what would have happened if you went in that church. Tried to, anyway. You would have burst into flames. No one invited you in. As for the victims, they didn't start until recently. Sounds to me you accidentally killed the first one, Annabeth, and panicked, trying to cover it up by calling hunters. You heard a monster living nearby and you did your best to keep it under wraps. You killed another one just to make it sound really dangerous. How utterly deplorable of you. Then you found the time to go end Jim Galloway, a confidant of Annabeth you had a thing for. You desired her so badly, and she knew she was being followed nightly. Something she told him in detail. You did everything possible to cover up your first crime that you ended up creating more evidence that you destroyed. He looked away, his eyes full of sorrow and pain. There was no ego, no rage, none of that. Simply regret. You didn't want to feel bad for him. But your heart would never allow otherwise.
I had seen her so many times in town. Such a supple, pure, beautiful young woman. The kindness she showed everyone. I needed it. But it was enough to see it from afar. At first, anyway. Then, I went to talk to her once. Her voice. Her eyes. She was an angel. I went to her to drink her blood. It wasn't to be anything more than a quick taste, and led her on her way. But she fought back. And when I made my incision, I missed. I cut her jugular. I was horrified. Blood all over her. But my hunger cold, despite it. I fed on her, feeling so much pain and regret. I knew I had done wrong. But after all I had done for this town, I couldn't bear to leave them behind. I shouldn't have covered it up. None of it. But I had a responsibility to these people. If I turned myself in, who would lead them? Who would look after them? I never wanted any of this to happen. I am truly sorry. But I cannot allow you to take me. In time, these people will come to understand and forgive me.
He turned back toward Raven, scorn in his face. His talons were extended. You felt a deep power from within him. Different from Piper's. A different kind of evil.
You, on the other hand, you'll never live to see that. I will be the hero to dispel you from this sacred place.
Raven lowered into a ready stance, his hand on his gun. His eyes narrowed, gripped onto his coat that he wore. You knew this would be an intense battle, and someone here may not leave from it on their own two legs.
You're welcome to try.
Indulge me. How did you know it was me? How did you know it wasn't the fiend from the church?
Well, a few reasons. The miscalculation of time I mentioned, the hesitance to enter the church, and things like that. I almost forgot. I guess there is one small, tiny, insignificant detail that I guess doesn't really mean that much. But, Piper is not a vampire.
You and Swan gasped. What? But he assured you that she was. She had sold it so well. If she wasn't a vampire...
Then, what is behind me right now?
Raven smirked. Confidence spread across his face.
Give you 3 guesses.
Her eyes glowed red and her flat cap fell from her head. Light golden ears, tall, shaped like a wolf's. An amber-colored tail getting better near the tip. Spawned behind her. She rose from the ground, malice in her gaze. He turned around, frightened at the sound of a growl.
What the? A werewolf?
Getting warmer. Literally.
Steam exuded from Piper. You didn't know how, but it was getting warm. Hot, even. And the steam started to coat the town in a fog, oppressive as can be. Then, an amber light. Fire. It blazed outward from her arms, and the mayor whipped his head left to right, almost looking for a way to escape. He decided there was not much he could do and turned back to face her, his arms up defensively. The chains melted into magma and the ropes turned to cinders. A licking of flames exuded from her head and tailbone, resembling the ears and tail you thought you saw.
A hellhound!
Piper! You want to tell the contestant his prize?
Congratulations! You've won an all-expenses-paid permanent residence to the
Fucking grave.
Her arms began to glow and fiery chains spontaneously appeared and wrapped around her wrists, hanging to the ground. She grabbed them and whirled them around, a fiery fan in the middle of the rain.
What you did to Anna is unforgivable. I'll spare you the long monologue that Burbrain has to go with. I'll make it short. You fucked up.
Oh, and one more thing.
Raven took the bullet, swiping it across the mayor's cheek. You're shocked. No hiss. No blood was drawn. The mayor looked back, blinking.
You really shouldn't be so gullible.
She charged at him, swinging her chains, and he narrowly dipped out of the way. She was careful to avoid Raven and he made his way back to you. People started yelling and clamoring at all angles to leave, with Piper's chains extended, whipping the building and destroying the leaving rubble to block paths of escape. She was really trying to hit her target, but was just missing the mark.
Damn! We have to get these people to safety. Mouse, Raven, start funneling people out. Leave the mayor to Piper. She is on our side, right?
For now, we want to keep it that way the best we can.
Good. On to the next question. That thing is your rival?
Hey, I didn't ask her to be a demon. Not my fault it happened that way.
Oh, the scolding you will receive later is absolutely unfathomable. But for now, stay light on your feet and get people out of here. Hurry.
You ushered a few people out through the openings, and it took longer than you would have liked. People crowded the exits and clogged them. You looked around, desperate to find another way. Raven groaned, frustrated.
Hey, Mutt! Cool off, you're gonna hurt someone!
That's the idea.
You need to stop swinging so recklessly. Someone innocent is gonna get hurt if you weren't careful. You and I agreed you'd play by my rules, remember?
If I power down, there's no guarantee that I'll still be able to kill him. It's time for him to pay the piper.
Would you leave your shitty jokes until afterward? You really want to let me down when I finally trust you with something?
Piper looked over at him, caught off guard. Even with those hot coals for eyes, you could see hesitation in her pause. She looked down, obviously weighing her options. Her fists unclenched, her chains disintegrated. The fire around her left and wolf ears retracted into her head and completely disappeared. She looked human again, aside from those orange eyes, of course. The mayor tackled Piper to the ground and began clawing at her head. Piper's supreme strength kept him at bay, but she was still struggling. Raven drew his gun and shot the vampire in the shoulder, causing him to fall over. Raven slowly approached, continuing to fire at him. Piper rolled out of the way, deftly throwing her jacket off.
Whew. Is it warm in here or is it just me? Trick question, it's both, baby!
This fucker killed your best friend, and you want to take this shit seriously already, maybe?
Thanks for the reminder, but I hadn't forgotten. Even for a moment. Don't think for 1 second that I don't take something seriously just because I can still laugh.
Maybe you should quit laughing and start slashing.
I assure you, Birdbrain, I don't keep a smile on my face for my own sake. I do it for yours. Because you of all people know what it's like to be around a demon in a bad mood.
Do what you want. It's none of my concern. Swan, take my hunting hand back to the carriage, and take Rat with you.
Normally, I tell you no, but fact is, we promised to keep Mouse safe. I'll follow your lead just this once. Come on, Mouse. Time to go home.
Swan grabbed the case with Raven's weapon inside of it and your wrist and pulled you to the carriage. You looked back as Raven and Piper stood side by side, facing the vampiric mayor. When you reached the carriage, Swan put away the case and grabbed their rapier, heading out. When you followed, Swan immediately cut you off.
Absolutely not. Stay inside. Raven and Piper are dealing with no small fish, and you aren't equipped to deal with that. What? Of course I don't think you're weak, but... care for them, but... Of course I care for them. That's why I'm leaving you here, because you aren't exempt from that. I know you care, I know that. But if I let you fight... Oh, I swear to whatever god is up there, if you get hurt even a little bit and you don't retreat, I'll give you a legendary scolding. And ask Raven. They are quite fierce. Very well. Stay distant and play support. You are not to engage the vampire. Only assist us. Understand?
Swan jumped out of the carriage and you followed them, leaving your cloak behind. You slid down the muddy hill deftly, landing on your feet. You saw Piper dueling with him, claws swinging rapidly at one another, with Raven providing ranged support and taking precise shots at him. The bullets didn't do much, but they did stagger his body and allowed Piper to get her shots in. They were a deadly alliance. You wondered why they couldn't just get along. A few stragglers remained stuck under buildings. They called out for help and Swan called you over to do so. You both removed the rubble from on top of them and they went to safety. The vampire grabbed Piper by the throat, choking her into the air. Raven swiftly approached, stabbing him in the back with a dagger. The vampire howled in pain, but it wasn't enough to stop him. Raven drew his gun again before he could get the kill shot and it was smacked from his hands, becoming muddied by the soaked ground. He reached out and grabbed Raven by the throat, pulling him up side by side with Piper. They both struggled in vain to free themselves.
You come to my home, invited with courtesy, tasked with a simple erasure, and you destroy years of hard work. I gave these people a home and you destroyed it! Who cares if it was built on falsehoods? If a church is built on a cemetery, who cares what's beneath the surface? If what is above, it helps people!
A long segmented blade wrapped around his arm and ripped, cutting his arm deeply. The mayor yelped, dropping Raven to the ground. Raven hacked, trying to catch his breath, looking over at Swan, who was once again saving his bacon. He grabbed his gun during his retreat. Piper chopped his elbow, bending his arm, and snapped her head forward, headbutting him, kicking his stomach and flipping off his body and landing on the feet. The mayor shook his head, looking around and realizing he was surrounded.
No! It wasn't supposed to happen like this!
Why not? We have a job to do. And you're the target.
Afraid this is your final curtain, man. Accept your fate and bow out.
And a cool third line with an edgy punchline at the end. I can't even joke. You see what you did to me? You killed my best friend, asshole. I'm gonna put you in the fucking ground.
The hunters and the demon attacked viciously as you did as you promised, playing support if needed. Raven was tired after a long day. Piper wasn't using her full power, and Swan was unfortunately unable to use the full brunt of the hunting hand with other people nearby. It felt like at this rate, this fight would go on forever. Or the humans would eventually tire out, leaving Piper to deal with it. You called out for a change of strategy. They all looked over at you, and one by one they ran by you, listening to your plan. They all nodded, ready to change their approach. It all hinged on Raven getting the final strike, yet all three of them played distraction until Raven had his chance. Piper kept up the pressure, throwing punches and kicks rapidly. When he fought back, his arms were trapped by Swan's whip, for Piper to get a few solid hits in, knocking him senseless. When Swan would feel their whip pull, losing their footing, Raven would shoot at Kimber, allowing Swan to untangle their blade and get back. When the mayor charged at Raven, Piper was there to intercept, kicking and punching him in the leg to halt his run. All three of them played defense and protected each other. He was starting to wane. Piper hailed in a massive combo of countless strikes, ending with a kick right to the chin, knocking him upwards. Raven jumped up, ready for the final strike. Then the mayor's eyes glinted.
You think I didn't hear your little plan? Who do you think you're dealing with?
He deflected Raven's dagger hard, knocking it from his hand. The dagger flipped dramatically and landed right next to your arm. But the blade, it was enough to graze your skin and draw blood. You grunted in pain as everyone looked over at you, including the vampire. His eyes changed again from an evil, hard red to a possessed glow. Without warning, he charged at you, appearing in front of your face faster than any human could ever hope to, sinking his teeth into your arm. You yelled out in pain, trying to pry the monster from your arm, but to no avail. His eyes were so haunting, staring into yours with malevolence and insatiable hunger. Your friends gasped, coming to your aid. Raven drew his gun, pointing it at him, but Swan called them off.
He's using them as a shield. You might hit them.
Then what do we do? We can't just let him kill Rat!
Permission to fire up. I'm positive I can get him and hold off on the fried mouse.
No. Let Mouse do this.
You can't be serious. I'm going in!
I'm right behind you, Bird Brain.
Trust in them. Mouse, remember what you can do. And remember what's falling from the sky.
You looked up and remembered the wolves. It was time. You held out your other hand towards the sky, and the rain around you began to turn to ice shards falling on top of you. You pulled the vampire even closer, a strategy you were totally unsure of, shielding yourself from the ice as they impaled his back. Finally, his mouth came free of you and shouted, and you realized your risky strategy paid off. He released you, and you held your hand out, soaking it with the rain. He raised a claw to strike you, and a short blade of water formed in your hand and then froze. You slashed it upwards, slashing it over his left eye. He cried out in pain, grabbing it, the blood leaking from the orifice. He then stared at you, his eye in place but damaged. Blood dripped from the wound. He yelled in anger, charging at you again, but his right arm was grabbed by Swan's whip, holding him back in place. He tried to free it, but his left arm was gripped on by a smoldering chain. It burned his arm, and he screamed in agony. You heard 2 gunshots as he fell to his knees, his legs being shot out. You were exhausted from losing blood, then using magic. But you had one final trick. You ripped your hand along the ground and swiped it upwards. The muddy ground formed a pillar of rock and water, slamming him high into the air, backwards. And he landed on his back, and he was not moving. Your friends ran over to you, checking on you as you fell to your knees.
Holy hell. This one wasn't kidding. You're not too bad at this, rat.
I'll say! Where you going, Mouse? We have no choice but to stand.
Once again, proving yourself a most capable ally. I'm proud of you as always, friend.
Piper then looked around, grabbing at her neck. It looked like she was missing something. She then ran around, searching in the mud.
No. I kind of lost it. Has anyone seen my necklace? Annabeth gave it to me a long time ago. It's a short rosary with a wooden cross.
A demon wearing a cross?
Less chatty, more looky. Well, where is it? Where is it?
You then saw Raven walking towards something. You saw his gun in the mud. He must have dropped it after seeing you collapse. He bent down, picked it up, and walked towards Piper. As she dug in the mud, her back turned to him. He pointed it at her head. A twinge of pain jumped through your heart as you held out to him. You wanted so badly to call out, to warn her. But you were afraid.
No, here he is.
Piper grabbed her necklace, putting it around herself, and turned around, her face full of shock.
Pepper?
You dropped this.
You then watched as Piper hesitantly reached her hand up and grabbed what was in Raven's hand and put it on her head. It wasn't a gun he picked up. It was Piper's flat cap. The gun was still on the floor. He could have killed her. After all he said, that would have been the time to do it. Maybe it wasn't as bad as he made himself out to be. You smiled, struggling to get up, when the vampire began to stir. Your smile faded, watching him get up, holding his wounds. Everyone looked back, weapons at the ready.
You witch! I'll remember you. I'll remember everything about you. Your face, your voice, your taste, your scent. I'll never forget this scar. It'll serve as a permanent signature of yours on your own death certificate. You will pay for what you did to East Lodge. And me.
He sprinted off faster than you could have ever hoped to give him credit for. You rose to your feet, took a large step, starting to run, and you fell over, unconscious. You awoke to the not-so-gentle feeling of a light sting on your cheeks. You winced, then opened your eyes. You saw Raven bending down, standing over you, slapping you back and forth. He noticed you awaken and stood upright.
Welcome back. Knew you weren't that much of a wimp that you died of something like that. But, if I gotta be honest, did have my doubts for a second there.
Oh, thank goodness. I was already rehearsing my speech. It always started with, "Dear Greta of the Olive Glow, I hope this, in-person meeting finds you well."
Oi! You and I got beef, Mouse. It was real cool of you to pound that freak into the next stratosphere, but you knocked yourself out in the process. And I give way too much of a damn about you to chase him down when you were in trouble. Seriously, dude, you gotta keep on your feet next time. How else will I taste sweet, sweet revenge?
Next time, my ass. I was clear as spring water. This was a one-time gig.
He just won't admit that he's fallen for me.
I told you I might kill you when this is all over, didn't I?
You call that over! He got away! Now what, genius?
I already talked to some higher-ups in East Lodge. They will be holding an election in 2 weeks to decide a new mayor. I called the guild on the way back and told them the situation. They disregarded our contract and seemed far more interested in that the perp got away. That, and that we received help from a monster rather than killing it. Seems Piper has some detractors at the guild.
This is my shocked face.
Hey, that looks awfully similar to your, well, funny joke Piper face.
Afraid so, Mouse. Shortly after you ejected a mud pole at him, he ran away. Likely to lick his wounds, I don't foresee us crossing paths again anytime soon. We have nothing left to do here, but before all that,
Swan turned to Piper, their hand on their blade's hilt. Their face showed no small amount of anger, and maybe just a teensy bit of betrayal.
you're a demon then?
Aye, aye, Captain.
Raven, you lied to me. You lied to both of us. How many lies have you told during the course of this mission?
Sorry, Swan. I really am. But if I told you what she really was,
I would have never allowed her to help us. You're right. I suppose there's nothing we can do about it now. Why are you this beat up? If it was just a setup, a ruse.
I had to make it look believable. Had Piper rough me up a bit to really sell the lie.
You know, at first I was joking, but I'm starting to really believe that he gets this weird, masochistic, perverted thrill out of me beating him up. Swear, if you asked me to step on you...
Why don't you step away instead?
So, a hellhound then?
Yeah, the hound part is more of a metaphor than anything else. I'm a demon, technically. The only dog thing about me is how cuddly and precious I am.
You might want to explain the ears when you fire up then.
Hey, they're friendlier than horns. Right, Mouse? See? You're the only critic here, Bird Brain.
Boo, tomato.
I'm here all week, whether you like it or not. What's up, Mouse? That? Oh no, that was totally Bird Brain's idea. Admittedly, I did carve into his belly and scratch the message onto the wall, but he was there before we got there. It was the setup. As if I could hurt you, Mouse. Oh no, we're mates for life.
Strange. How were you able to live in a church that long anyway?
Oi! Not all demons are evil. Some of us are rather charming. Think of us as spicy angels.
Not all demons are evil. My apologies, but I've heard quite the opposite.
Yeah, well, when you grow up around people, even people that hate you, you tend to get a different perspective on things. Who knows? Maybe in being around you lot grew me a soul. Hear that, Bird Brain? I may go to heaven after all!
The only thing you'd go to heaven for is so God can get a running start booting your ass all the way to the bottom.
Oh, that reminds me. Sorry for all the nonsense I was saying when I was playing the baddie, Bird Brain. I didn't mean a lick of it.
Funny, because I meant every word.
You absolute liar! I saw those puppy eyes! Even you thought you went too far.
What happened up there anyway? Near Jim Galloway's place.
It was a long story, but I'll give you the synopsis. I said I had a bad feeling, and she tackled me to the ground, covering my mouth. She told me that she smelled death. Shortly after, we saw the mayor himself leaving the house of Jim Galloway. We went to investigate and found out that he was just killed, as in a few moments before. Likely to remove any loose ends of Annabeth's death. We came up with the idea to make him comfortable, set up a story that would be believable. We knew if Piper just outright admitting to knowingly killing a friend, then the real killer would know she's lying, and there wouldn't be much point to that. Instead, we came up with a way to Piper who have lost control in a sense and do it without remembering. Then we set up the crime scene. Then, I talked Piper into keeping it a secret. Not that Swan was a bad actor. I just really wanted to prove I could handle things on my own without their help.
I'm still fiercely upset with you for lying, but I can see now that you should be allowed to make your own decisions. Or at least have the same pull that I do. I've been holding onto your leash for far too long. However, we are partners. Understand? This is not my consent for you to run off and do as you please. Talk to me first. I promise to hold your opinions and ideas as highly as I would a veteran of my years.
About time you started noticing. Excuse me, Huntess.
The guard from earlier, who had been the same guard from the road where Marianne Terrence was killed, approached you all. He rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly, occasionally glancing back at the people who all held each other and talked to each other fearfully.
I can't possibly thank you enough for everything you've done. No civilian casualties at all, and every single one of them are in agreement. We do not want a vampire as our mayor. You did us a big favor running him out. We can't pay you. Multiple buildings suffered heavy damage, and we need to hold an impromptu election soon. I only wish we could repay you for all you've done.
What we do is help others. It's a reward in and of itself.
So is cash.
Sardonic as always. Try not to worry. We did what we could. We only wish we could have killed him definitively. Maybe we can come across him down the line. If only the name Jeffrey Kimberly was in our warrant list.
Maybe it was a fake name. That's what we're assuming. Well, I remember my dad mentioning something weird when he moved into the village a long time ago. He remembers seeing one of his letters he wrote to someone that was signed under a different name. What was it? Dutch. Dutch Olkost.
Holocaust. Wait a minute now. That rings quite a few bells. I believe I've read over the name Dutch Olkost several times over my years. Thank you, my good man. You've given us a place to start.
Swan turned to you and the group, put their hands together. They looked at you softly, somewhat sadly.
I hate goodbyes, but promise is a promise. Time for us to go, Mouse. Raven, would you check on the others before we go? Tell them to send any and all reimbursement requests to the guild, if you please.
Aren't you just over the... Fine.
Right behind you, bird brain!
Stop calling me that, mutt.
My folks can only hear you say that.
You noticed Swan's expression changed to surprise, nearly shock. Their mouth was agape, watching Raven and Piper walk away. Their body was stiff, and their fingers twitched.
I don't... Is it really her? Raven. Oh, I can't imagine how hard it was to... Huh? Oh. Sorry, Mouse. It's just... Well, I feel like a fool. I didn't put two and two together until that last remark, but it all makes sense. Why he's been so hostile towards Piper. I didn't realize it was her all along. I thought he just considered her a pest, but... Oh, he truly, truly hates her. Or... maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. Right now, I'm so unsure.
Swan turned to you, your face full of seriousness. No smile, no gentle eyes. It was a true, hard stare. The empathy in their eyes showed a deep sorrow, hidden behind years and years of secondhand pain.
Piper wasn't lying when she said she didn't do anything wrong. She didn't. But her parents, on the other hand... Well, Piper's parents killed Raven's entire family right before his eyes.
The world lost color and sound as those words sunk in. You knew Raven carried pain, but this? Everyone that ever mattered to him, he said, even if it was a setup. You could tell, even then, that he meant those words. You looked at him as he looked to his side, talking to Piper, annoyed, while Piper returned the conversation, nudging him and smiling. She truly, honestly enjoyed his presence. She liked him, and despite what he felt, he tolerated her. You couldn't fathom how. Swan tipped their hat, hiding their eyes.
After meeting her, she's the only demon I've ever met with a personality like that. A demon that cares. A demon with a heart, perhaps. Oh, never in all my years. Come, Mouse. Time to go home. Don't mention this to either of them. Consider it a last favor for a friend.
You settled into the carriage, setting up a spot for yourself as Raven walked inside, starting the car. Piper waved everyone goodbye, and Swan saluted her.
What will you do, Piper? I assume you can't go back to the church.
I doubt these folks would appreciate if little old me freeloaded off an half-broken building any longer. It was doable when no one knew about it. Now I'm likely to get people running me out.
It's a shame, considering you helped them.
I also cleaved a chimney or two. Point is, humans don't really care about shit like that. They don't care what you do, or only what you can do them. So I'd just rather not have the hassle.
Happy trails, bum.
Oh, I missed you too, bud.
So, do you have a place in mind?
Nah, I never do. I usually just sleep under bridges or in a forest when I can. I never really had a place to stay for long periods of time.
Not even a bed?
I'm not sure if I've ever slept in one, to be honest.
Swan slowly turned toward Raven, who looked to his side. You looked at Raven too. You all had the same thought on your mind. He glanced between the three of you, his expression slowly showing the realization of the implication at hand.
Oh, hell no! Hell no! No fucking way in any reality!
Come on, Raven. They helped. They were on their best behavior.
You said yourself you never heard of a demon that wasn't evil.
I hadn't. Then, I met Piper.
No, not you two, Rat. Oh, as if it makes any difference to you. You're going home. You won't have to live with the consequences.
You said it yourself. You can keep an eye on her easier when you're around her. She was quite helpful. Imagine how much easier you can ensure she continues to be helpful if she just stays with us.
You said you'd start taking my opinions seriously.
Alright, let's not bug him. I prefer to do that stuff. It's alright, bird brain, I don't need that. I'm sure I can survive in the cruel, harsh, cold, lonely world. Using a newspaper as a blanket, my hat as a thin pillow, and I'll think to myself, Holly, I sure hope my daddy Raven is okay. And I'll cry myself to sleep. How much I care about you. Sorry, I'll go now off into the world. The cruel, harsh.
Enough! Get in the damn car, you freeloading pest!
Woo! Ratchet!
Piper leapt into the car, wrapping her hands and arms around Raven's shoulders, hugging him tight. From his expression, it was blatantly obvious that they had never embraced ever. He was so red from embarrassment and anger that he could no longer form words. He merely just waved her off with both arms, aggressively.
You listen up and you listen good. You're going to a supremely civilized society. You want to fit in, you stay indoors and bother nobody. And no complaining about your living quarters.
Holy shit, he called it a living quarters. That is way fancier than a bedroom. Pass the tea, would you, Winston? I say, old bean, you see the poor people trying to not be poor? Oh, perish the thought. Shenanigans, flamboyance, defenestration, haberdashery.
I'm gonna push you out of a window in a minute.
Why a window? The door's right there.
You literally just said defenestration.
I thought that was indigestion.
Swan, I'm gonna strangle her. Take the fucking wheel.
Rule 91. No murder in the transportation vehicle.
I'm protected by Rule 91, bitch. You can't do nothing to me. Not in here anyway, I just won't leave.
You all talked back and forth for a few hours about the hunter's experiences, Piper's life, and your magic. You knew you were nearing your home, the end of the discussion.
No, not really, Rat. I mean, people usually assume the demons are the strongest and most dangerous monsters because of stories, but I mean, that's not true. They're just a big subcategory, like werewolves or vampires or ghouls or anything like that. I mean, there's levels to it.
Yeah, demons aren't the strongest things out there. That is just moi. Oh yeah, see that? See that, Bison? I could bench this carriage if I wanted to.
In reality, it's highly believed that vampires are strongest on average. The weakest vampire is stronger than the weakest anything else. Sometimes even stronger than average strength monsters of each category. If they fought one-on-one, Piper would have had a difficult time with Dutch Olkost, even all powered up.
He was a tough cookie, I'll give him that. But that's all the credit he gets from me. Next thing he gets from me is a proper beating that he deserves.
Oh, the world's a big place. Doubt we'll ever see him again. But who knows? If we do meet him again, we'll know what to expect. We'll be ready to get our bounty.
Indeed. Mouse, your home is just ahead, I believe. Just around this corner.
Yeah, I remember that rock stood out to me, kind of like... Hey, Rat, does your grandma have bonfires often? You said no? Oh no.
Anyone who was standing up fell over as Raven accelerated the car, whipping around the turn and driving straight toward the house. He stopped a ways away and you got up, running to the windshield. Fire. All you could see was a bright amber light scorching and challenging the night sky. Your home was lit ablaze. Your fingers twitched and your heart sunk, and the first thing you felt was dread. Then, fear that your grandmother was inside. You opened up the car door, stumbling outside, sprinting as hard as your body would allow towards the door. You heard voices calling behind you, but you couldn't listen. The closer you got, the heat began to sting and burn your face until you felt a massive weight slam into your back, dropping you into the dirt. Arms whipped around yours, and they wrapped around your body, and they held you to the ground.
No! 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 Just stop! Just stop! Just calm down! I know! But you will burn to death if you get any closer! Just calm down! Swan! Piper, help!
I'll get water. Keep Mouse stationary. God help us.
I'll fire up and head inside to check. Please be empty.
Swan ran off, looking around for buckets and a well. Piper's body engulfed her in her own fire, and she knocked down your door as the structure pinned her inside, collapsing on itself slowly. Your tears and screams were drowned by the licks of wild blaze around you. Raven held you closely. Each passing second, you struggled less and less and less.
I know. I'm sorry. I know it hurts. I know it hurts. I know, Mouse.
Piper burst through the window, falling down, scrambling to her feet. She held the body in her arms. You knew who it was. She lay limp in your friend's arms. Piper's expression was full of sadness and pain. She laid your grandmother down. Her body was covered in burns. Her clothes were torn and charred. An hour later, you were able to extinguish the fire. You were told what happened, and the feeling in your heart was one foreign to you. It stung like wasps, it was heavy like a fallen tree, and it was cold like ice. Hatred. Pure, full-blown, unadulterated hatred. You held a funeral for your grandmother merely an hour after finding your home destroyed. They asked if you wanted to say a few words, but you couldn't focus on them because you cared far more about the 2 teeth marks on her neck. The same scent from the last several bodies, the same scent from the fight, the same scent from your arm. And you swore out loud, then and there, with such conviction that none of us doubted you. Dutch Alcost, I will kill you. You, going through a second dose of this loss, this grief. It's not something I wanted to do. This was this was one of the parts of this tale that I didn't want to tell again. But I knew what would have happened if I didn't tell you. You'd ask eventually, and if I just told you casually that this happened, what would you say? How would you feel? How would you react? I can't tell you that yet. I can't tell you if you get your revenge, because if I do, will you remember it? Will you remember why you got it? Or why you didn't? No. And it wouldn't give you the enrichment that you gained from the entire experience back, because the only thing worse than losing somebody is not gaining anything in the process. So, I'll tell you more soon. I need you to take some time to grieve again. And I know that last time it wasn't easy. This time it may even be harder. But you got through it then. And I know you will again. Except this time, well, I'm more here for you than I was then. And I hope that's enough. Sleep well, okay? I know it might be hard, but try. We have more to go over. And I want you to be emotionally ready for it. Good. Well, sleep tight. I'll be here if you need me.